Well, hello and welcome to this very, very exciting episode of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. I'm your host, Chris Green, Director of Network Expansion. Thank you so much for your time today. I really think you picked a great day to tune in. I mean, I'm very proud of the quality we do, the work we do on a week-to-week basis. But some weeks, the guests, they elevate everything. And I think that's the case today. This week, we're so honored to have one of our industry's top personalities and executives join us for his second guest slot with On Deck with Avoya. John Chernesky, Senior Vice President of North American Sales, returns for a deep dive into all things Norwegian Cruise Line. Here's a couple of absolute truths I want to throw out there before we get started. Truth number one, Norwegian Cruise Line and Avoya Travel have always had an amazing relationship. In fact, it wasn't that long ago that former President and CEO Frank Del Rio Sr. stopped by the Avoya Travel Innovation Center and gave a pep talk to the staff and affiliates. Truth bomb number two, John Chernesky, now Senior Vice President of North American Sales for NCL and Avoya Travel, have always had an amazing relationship as well. And this goes back to John before he was part of NCL in that previous life with that previous cruise vendor. So when you take both of those truths into account, you can imagine how exciting things are now with John Chernesky and Norwegian Cruise Line working in tandem over the last year since John took on his new role, and how exciting that is for everybody at Avoya Travel and certainly those in the Avoya network. Big things are happening, let me tell you what. And John will be joining us here in just a moment for an exclusive Q&A, and we can talk all about it. After that great discussion, we'll be providing the latest information on our ongoing military discounts, proud of that, and our work with the military community. The amazing Avoya Travel Academy, and I'll let one of the secrets out of the bag, now sponsored by Norwegian Cruise Line, and they're doing just amazing work there. We'll talk about the best-in-class resources offered to those in the Avoya network, touch base on our social media channels so you can rewatch today's amazing show as often as you'd like, and of course, make sure you have all the ways to reach out, get in contact with the team, and get started on becoming part of the #1 network in leisure travel. That's the Avoya Travel Network. So it was just about a year ago when today's guest first joined our program here at On Deck with Avoya. Since then, On Deck with Avoya has won the prestigious Gold Magellan Award. We've crossed over 150 episodes. We started into our fourth full year of broadcast, and we continue to see great growth week over week. Now, I'm not saying all the credit should go to John Chernesky. I mean, he can take a little of it if he wants, but we certainly are not afraid to brag when he's on the show, that's for sure. So please help me welcome back to On Deck with Avoya, John Chernesky, Senior Vice President of North American Sales for Norwegian Cruise Line. John, great to see you. Great to have you back on Deck with Avoya.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that introduction. What a nice introduction. I wish I got introduced like that everywhere I went. Great passion, and appreciate the kind words. It's great to be here. And I'll take all the credit, by the way. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. John, before we jump into our exciting topics today, I wanted to give you just a moment to maybe introduce yourself for those that may be new to our industry, a lot of new people coming into travel, and that's exciting, and maybe provide a little insight about you and your role as Senior VP with Norwegian Cruise Line.
Sounds good, Chris. Yeah, I've been in the cruise industry for over 30 years, 31 years now, I think. Makes me feel really old, but I love what I do. I feel blessed and very lucky to be in this industry. And to be selling a great vacation experience like we have at Norwegian is truly a gift. And I oversee an amazing team of over 70 people spread throughout North America, some in the home office in Miami, some out in the field, and obviously some dedicated to supporting the great folks at Avoya and all of the amazing IAs that you all have. And most importantly, I think as my bobblehead, I want to bring him into the frame. It just encapsulates the fantastic forehead that I'm rocking, the ridiculous haircuts. I only wish my teeth were that white, but other than that, I think it's a pretty good spitting image. But I like to have some fun in this industry and what I do and bring the energy, and hopefully that translates.
Absolutely. And I love the bobblehead. As a follow-up, John, you've been with NCL now about a year, right? Is it starting to feel like home?
It's so funny that it's a year and a few months, and it feels like 5 years. I mean, there's been so much that's happened in the past year, and it definitely does not feel like a new job. And so I really have felt welcomed and embraced by the entire team, and the culture at NCL is amazing. Very dynamic culture, a lot of give and take, and always trying to make things better each and every day. And our goal is to be the easiest cruise line that everybody works with, and we still have some work to do there, but it helps govern our North Star, and I'm just really pleased that we've taken to it as well as we have internally, as well as obviously with all of our amazing partners like Avoya.
You know, I mentioned in my open that Avoya Travel and Norwegian Cruise Line have had an amazing relationship going back for so many years, and it shows in so many ways. And I wanted to touch base on a few of them, and of course, one of them being the recently announced Norwegian Cruise Line becoming the first sponsor of the Avoya Travel Academy and having the travel agent certification from NCL now included with that curriculum. It's pretty amazing and an industry first, I believe. Why is it important for NCL to invest, John, in the next generation of travel professionals at this level?
Yeah, it is so critical, I think, to our collective future success in terms of education, training, expertise, and that comes through online training. You know, the Travel Academy that Avoya has is a great uh, first step into the industry and gives you that broad training. And then, of course, you're going to want to do even deeper dives with brands like Norwegian. Get on the ships, go through those FAM experiences. You know, we just did a very robust survey of the travel advisor community. About 10,000 frontline advisors responded, and having that personal exposure and experience to a brand is critical. And so I see the Travel Academy with Avoya as the first step. It doesn't stop there. And so we want to invest in the future because the industry is growing. We're growing from a cruise line perspective. Avoya is growing in terms of expanding your roster, and we just want to be part of that because we love everything you do. The brains, the lead generation, all the smarts of Avoya. I like to hitch our wagons to winners, and Avoya is a winner.
You know, at Avoya Travel, John, we love to talk about how the numbers don't lie. And we found that with the Avoya Travel Academy, those that take that program compares those that didn't have a formal education before they launched into the business. Those that did, they sell at a higher level, they generate more commissions, they have fewer customer service issues, all the big win-win-wins. When you crunch the business intelligence over on your side, do you find much the same that those that become certified experts in the Norwegian Cruise Line brand sell more and earn more?
Absolutely, and I think it's the basics of when you sell something that you know, then clearly you're going to do a better job of selling something you don't know. So it's basic stuff there. But I also think it comes down to the passion that each IA is going to have in terms of what brands do they attach themselves to, what brands do they personally like, and the more they know about those brands, then the easier it will be for them to sell. So our NCLU, which is our own a training academy, which everybody hopefully signs up for and becomes part of, we definitely see double-digit growth in sales pre taking the training and post. So it's the numbers are there, the numbers don't lie, and we encourage everybody to take advantage of as much training as possible.
Absolutely. Training and then that specialization, especially with amazing brands like Norwegian, just win-win. John, let me kind of put you on the spot for a second, if you don't mind, because in my mind, there's no doubt that your personality, things like the bobblehead, your sense of humor, all the things you're kind of famous for, that's a resource that you've learned to help you stand out and help you be successful as a top executive in the travel industry. Is that something you'd agree with?
Absolutely. I mean, everybody has to have their own lane and become their own person. And how do you get attention? And sometimes I'll be at a conference and have 5 minutes on stage, and I want to be memorable. And I've been told I have a sense of humor, and so I try and take advantage of that.
So my follow-up question is this: what advice might you offer someone new to the industry on how they may use their personality? Because a lot of times when we get that first call, it's people who say, you know, all my friends love the way I go on vacation. They've always asked me for little tidbits of advice here, and now I want to turn that into a career. So
Yeah.
any advice on how they take that personality and how kind of people revolve around them and turn that into a successful career in the travel industry?
I love this question, how you framed it, because I think it's so important that everybody, first and foremost, is themselves. Be yourself. If you're not a naturally funny person, don't try to be funny. There's nothing worse than somebody trying to be funny that isn't funny. And also, if you're a funny person, don't try and be super serious because it will also come across as not authentic. Be authentic, be yourself. And I think what you just described there of people complimenting somebody because they're very good at maybe organizing trips and putting things together and coming up with off the beaten path opportunities in certain ports of call, leverage that, lean into that, and become known as the person that specializes in whatever it might be, whether it's food or history or sun and fun, or it doesn't really matter what it is. I think you then become the Pied Piper, and you can create your own groups, and you can create your own following, and become your own celebrity amongst your clients, and take advantage of that.
Yeah, and people love to gravitate towards those kind of people and those personalities. So that's a great bit of advice there. What about a few practical tips, John, on ways that agents of any level, those that are new to the industry, those that are a bit more seasoned, those who've been in the industry for forever and a day, how can they position Norwegian Cruise Lines and sell more and just do better with their clients from your brand standpoint?
Well, I think first of all, once you understand who your clients are you talking suite guests that have all the money in the world that are looking for that haven experience, which is fantastic and is really second to none? The ship within a ship concept is really special. Or are they on a budget and they are, they can only afford an ocean view cabin, but they want to take 2 cruises a year because they like to travel and maybe they work in remotely. You have to understand your audience. And then I think we were just talking about the value of becoming your own group leader, hosting a group, get out there, become the person that people can rely on. And that helps bring in new to cruise because people might feel a little, uncertain about going on their first cruise. But if they know you're there and you're going to help be on board and take care of all the issues that they might be worried about, that's the safety net for them to maybe take that first plunge. Or maybe they've taken 100 cruises and they just like you and they want to hang out with you. Now it's your chance to host your 1 or 2 cruises a year where you're going out on Norwegian, and we sail the world. So the destination shouldn't be an issue. We go pretty much everywhere. So it's really just about connecting with your clients and figuring out where they might be interested in sailing.
Something I picked up on from your answer, is that on top of the fact that, you can have a great personality, you can use that to shine, you have to be a pretty good listener too, right? I mean, sometimes talking's great, but listening's just as important.
I'm sorry, what'd you say? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, it's almost an uncomfortable pause, and embrace the uncomfortable pause that lets your client know you are truly listening and really give it some thought to what they've said versus just waiting for them to stop talking to jump in. Ask questions, do little mini surveys, have conversations, call them for a happy birthday and say, where are we thinking of going next year? Do you prefer one of these 3 destinations? And then use that information to frame how you're going to sell that next group that you're putting together.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll give you the buying signals, no doubt about that. John Chernesky, Senior Vice President of North American Sales for Norwegian Cruise Line, is our featured guest today for On Deck with Avoya. John, another exciting topic I wanted to touch base on is this year's Avoya National Conference. Now, NCL is hosting Avoya on an amazing itinerary out of Quebec City in Canada on the Norwegian Joy in September. John, why is it important for Norwegian to do things like that, host a company like Avoya Travel and our big annual conference?
Well, I think anytime we can expose our great brand to as many of the Avoya IAs and really get you exposed to that product. Maybe you've been on Norwegian, but it's been a while. Maybe you think of us only going to the Bahamas and Bermuda and the Caribbean, or maybe you have never been on Norwegian. It's that chance of connecting with you on board, getting you to see an amazing destination. Like you said, Quebec City, I've only been there once on a business trip years ago. It's one of the coolest cities I've ever. It's kind of weird calling it a city. I don't really consider it a city. It's a town that's really got some great history. And then sailing down to New York. So I think that itinerary, I've never done this cruise. I'll be on board. I can't wait to experience it. And I think it really gives us a chance to connect in person, to hear from you and how can we do better. We're always listening and trying to improve our ways of being easier to work with and come up with even better experiences for your clients. So I think it's a win-win for all of us, and to experience it on the Joy, which has just been refurbished. We're very, very excited to be hosting it.
As a follow-up, what kind of things do you hope that the advisors in the Avoya network come home with after that week, as far as knowledge, as far as experience, as far as thoughts about NCL?
Yeah. So you'll get opportunities to obviously tour the ship, spend time on board, go to the dining venues, see the entertainment, give those little insider tips for your clients that, if they only have a 7-day period on board, then there's more dining options than they can actually experience. So this way you can give them some advice. They don't have to follow it. They may like certain foods that you don't, but it's just giving them making them feel, your clients feel like they've spoken to an insider, somebody who is an expert. And when you come off that ship, you will be an expert on Norwegian pretty quickly because you've experienced it. And then you can tell those stories. I'm a big fan of storytelling, Chris, you know that. And don't hesitate to use those stories. Take pictures for those that are coming with us, share them to your clients on social media or via email or text, whatever you do, and really get those stories out there to get people excited.
I happened to see, speaking of social media, yesterday that you and my good buddy Charlie from CLIA were getting
Yep.
together to do a podcast. Is that something that's going to be kind of new for you on a regular basis now with NCL?
Well, I do what we call a John cast. We try and do it once a month, and I'm trying to
Okay.
bring in special guests. And I can tell you, Chris, if I brought Charlie in, I texted him last night after the show. If I brought him in every month, I would be very happy. I love Charlie. He's like a brother to me. He's such a wealth of knowledge, not only for the cruise industry, but for being a travel advisor himself for 30 years. And I love his tips. And the tip that you heard, Chris, was it's okay to pause and ask your client what credit card would they like to use to make that booking, and just let that sit. Ask for the sale, and you're not trying to push anything. You're just saying, listen, here's all the information. Here's your options. Here's what we think we're going to do. What credit card would you like to use?
Yeah, we're big fans of Charlie here at Avoya Travel as well. Note about that. He's been on our show several times.
Yep.
I know from past conversations, John, that your family and your kids play a big role in how you spend what little off work hours I'm sure you have. I would assume summertime's a pretty busy time in the Chernesky household then?
It is, and I like to say, as a parent, you have 18 summers, hopefully, that you can spend with your kids. And we have been very diligent about doing a vacation every summer. And we're leaving actually tomorrow. We're getting on a plane to go to London. We're getting on the Norwegian Prima. We're sailing up from England to Brussels, to Amsterdam, 3 ports in Norway, 3 ports in Iceland, and then flying home before the boys start their senior year of high school. So thrilled to be sailing as a family on the Prima and to get out there. It is really important for us as a family to connect and see the world. This will be my boys' 15th cruise, Chris, and they're
Wow.
only 17 years old, so they're a little spoiled, as are we.
So that takes care of the family adventure question because if you're leaving tomorrow, that's right there on the horizon.
Yes.
After all of the cruises, what do you still find exciting about them, John? I know I can't wait to step on a cruise ship, and I've been on a bunch myself.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's about connecting with the people that you love, and or making new friends and going, and old friends maybe you haven't seen in 20 years. Let's do a cruise together and experience the destination through each other's eyes and our own perceptions of what we're seeing. And even if it's a place you've never been, like this trip we're about to do, I've never been to Norway or to Iceland. And I'm thrilled just to experience a new destination. But even if we were sailing on the Bliss going up to Alaska out of Seattle, I'd be excited because who doesn't love Alaska? And I've been there many times and I can go back. I look forward to going back many more. So it's about really just the destination, but with more importantly is the people.
Like a ship like the Bliss, if I was, repeating an itinerary, what I love is the fact that everybody's getting off the ship. I'm staying on so I can have that racetrack to myself. You know what I mean? Though there's just some advantages about going
Yes.
back and repeating something because you can
Yeah.
create just a whole new experience for yourself that you didn't have the first time around. John, just a couple more questions before we wrap up today.
Yep.
Anything that you feel is really important to this conversation that we just haven't covered yet?
Well, we touched on the groups, and I want to make sure everybody is aware. And if not, raise your hand. We'll get you some training. We'll clarify the policies. But I think we have the best affinity group program in the business, and it really gives the return on investment to you, the 1-for-10 TC ratio, the amenities that you get to select, the options that you get to choose from. I just think it's the best way. If you're selling a product to just one person, there's a lot of effort that goes into that one sale. You might as well ask that person to bring a few more folks and create that group. And it's only those 5 cabins you need to put together. And so every conversation to me should be talking about building a small group of people that know each other or have a shared interest. And so I just think that's something to lean into and take full advantage of our rich program.
And as a past guest said to me one time, that was a great tip, and I'll throw it in right here. Even if it's just a one-off, like a couple going on a trip, don't be afraid to say, hey, who else might want to join you on this trip, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
because the next thing you know, you're growing it, and then it becomes a group. You didn't even think group at first, and
Yeah.
a couple of simple questions can really help grow that positively.
And hopefully, Chris, you see the Aqua banner behind me. We got the new ship coming out next spring. Feel free to build an affinity group on the Norwegian Aqua. We would love to have you and your clients on board.
That's a good idea right there. Okay, one final question, John. We have a new one for you since you were here last year. We're asking all the guests this one here as we get ready for our new year with On Deck Avoya. But we just wanted to find out, what do you think the travel industry needs to focus on in general, say over the next 5 years, to remain successful with the traveling public?
Well, I think we're in a very good position right now, meaning the business of cruising and travel is very strong. Like we're seeing record occupancy and people are booking farther out. And listen, this industry goes up and it goes down, right? So we should always prepare for what comes around the corner and be ready for that. But I think it's about leveraging the value proposition of cruising, and especially at Norwegian with our Free at Sea program. We talked about it in the webinar I did yesterday with Charlie, that it's the highest rated vacation experience compared to all the other options, the best value, the dollar. If you were to go on a Europe cruise, we just did the math on this with Norwegian versus doing a land tour experience. The land portion of it and doing it all on land is about 70% more expensive than what you would get on Norwegian. So yes, the cruising is not cheap right now. The prices are high. It's even more expensive if you were to do that. So I think for us as an industry, we need to get the word out and get even more people cruising who've never taken one to understand the value proposition that they're going to have a great time, see multiple destinations, unpack once. All those things are true. And at Norwegian, we're thrilled with the hardware, with the great service we provide, the great food, you name it. And so we're just thrilled again. And thank you for that question. And I think we do need to think to the future, Chris.
Absolutely. John Chernesky, everyone, Senior Vice President of North American Sales for Norwegian Cruise Line. John, thanks so much for that great conversation. Thank you to Norwegian for the sponsorship of the Avoya Travel Academy. We're so excited about that. And I can't wait to see you soon, hopefully in Canada come September.
I look forward to that, Chris. Thank you for your time as always. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Next week, he's got to follow up John Chernesky. He does an okay job, though. Sam McCulley, our Senior Vice President of Marketing, is going to join us for an Avoya Insider take on all things marketing. And kind of we'll get a recap of the first half of 2024 and kind of look out the windshield and see what the rest of the year and take a peek at 2025, how that's already shaping up when Sam McCulley joins us next week. We want to talk about our ongoing military discount for just a second, because we do really have a great deal of pride in those that serve and those that have served. And we've got that $100 off the curriculum for the Avoya Travel Academy. We've got $100 off for those that are ready to affiliate with the Avoya Travel Network. All the information is available at avoyanetwork.com, or get in touch with somebody on my team. They're more than happy to answer your questions and go over details on how you can get qualified for that. Speaking of the Avoya Travel Academy, wow, again, sponsored by Norwegian Cruise Line. It's just doing amazing things. The people coming out of that school and the success stories they're having right out of the gate is just amazing. As John said, it's just the bottom rung of the ladder. There's so much more to learn and there's so many ways to grow, but you've got to take that first step. The Avoya Travel Academy, again, sponsored by Norwegian Cruise Line. It's just a great first step. I always say think like a pro, but we do have lots of options as far as the packages go. And again, that team more than happy to help you, kind of figure out what might be best for you and yours at this particular time. It leads you into the best-in-class resources that are offered by Avoya Travel, where you can truly find your professional freedom. Agent Power, our technology is amazing. It's award-winning. It is the best in the industry. I would bet anything on that. That's why we win that award every single year. The marketing assets in the Avoya Marketing Resource Center are fantastic. Dedicated agency support, Carrie and her team 7 days a week, working so hard to make sure that you're taken care of. So again, reach out at avoyanetwork.com and get that process started. And of course, give us a follow while you're out and about, right? Our social media continues to grow. We're on TikTok and Pinterest now at Avoya Travel Network, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, where all of the episodes are archived. Instagram. I mean, we've got it going on. Let me tell you what, again, at Avoya Travel Network, or you can go old fashioned. And it's kind of funny to think that email is old fashioned, but it is. Chris.green@avoyatravel.com, or pick up the phone and give me a call. There's the number on the screen. But again, just a wealth of information at avoyanetwork.com. A big thank you to John Chernesky again for being our special guest this week. Wonderful conversation. Hope you got a lot out of that. Big thanks to Tegan for producing our segment today. Always does a wonderful job in that job. Thank you for being part of On Deck with Avoya on an ongoing basis. We very much appreciate it. Until next week, when we're back with Sam McCulley, take care, everyone.